Here's a drive-through of the resources that are gathered on this page to help you make sense of formative assessment. When you've made clear with yourself and with students what you want them to know, understand, and be able to do through learning targets and learning scales, the next question is, how will both we and the students know whether and to what degree they've learned? And formative assessment is one of the tools that helps you to go ahead and do that. Here's a definition here by Bill Younglove, that formative assessment is that frequent interactive checking of student progress and understanding. And the reason you do that is to not only identify the learning needs, but to adjust the teaching and that sort of learning experience together with the students appropriately. Here you'll see the learning scale with learning target that Bill Rich has pulled together for the work this year, looking at understanding formative assessment as a concept, that it's a high-yielding strategy, and that you can, on this continuum, understand where you lie in terms of being able to design those targeted practice that students will need. Here's just a quick visual from John Hattie, who is a researcher and author of a book called Visible Learning. He looked at a meta-analysis of hundreds and hundreds of research studies about effectiveness of teaching and the influence on students that teachers have. And he says that anything that, as a strategy, that has a effect size above 0.4 is going to be effective and not just coincidental. Notice that formative evaluation or formative assessment is under the top 3. And I also will draw your attention to the fact that self-reported grades, students being active participants in this process of assessing themselves both formatively and summatively, has a huge effect size as well. So it's a whole package. What you'll see down here, down below, and a nod to Peter for giving me a link to this book, Formative Assessment Action Plan by Nancy Frey and Douglas Fisher. This will link you out to, it's the first chapter of their book in creating a formative assessment system. You'll notice that down here, they argue that there are 3 components of guiding questions for students and teachers. And we're all familiar with the feedback idea, how am I doing? But there's also this idea of where am I going, the feed up, which is aligns very clearly to learning skills, learning targets, being super clear up front about the objectives. And also, once the feedback is given, where are they going next, that feed forward idea. You'll also see that they have a theoretical framework, if you will, and I've put that together here. There's the framework, and again, I'll link out to that article if you're interested. And also, I used a tool called Canva, C-A-N-V-A. It's a free tool that allowed me to sort of mock up this idea of the feed up, feedback, and feed forward with some visuals for me. It's helpful to help sort of consolidate in my memory and speak to me about what that system is. Again, as we move forward in these resources, because we are working within a one-to-one situation where we have ready access to technology for the students, not only can we differentiate with them, but we can get and gather through formative assessment this just-in-time data that helps us collaborate with students to know where to go next, to help support the system of feed up, feedback, and feed forward. And what I like about this quote from Weston and Bain is that when they look at those technology, they don't look at Chromebooks or iPads per se, they look at devices as cognitive tools, and that resonates for me in the work that I do. What you'll see next on this resource is a link to an article right here. I want some concrete examples of what formative assessment looks like in the classroom. Many of these are not tech device related at all. They're very simple things that you can do without technology, but again, they ground the definition in concrete examples. And then here's another one that actually comes at it from the digital tools frame to be able to give you some examples about how to use these for exit cards and entrance cards. The last part of this resource is now apps or other resources that I find really useful and helpful in this formative assessment work. You'll see that each one of these resources has a short definition along with an introduction video of what the tool does, and then a tutorial about how to use the tool to create formative assessment opportunities in your classroom. There are a number of these tools, and as you go down through, you can pick and choose what seems to most make sense with your practice and where you are at this point. My hope is that we have a chance to work together either in small groups, in our best practice time together, or in scheduled time individually to experience some of them so that you can take them right back into your own classroom practice.